Hello, Bishop Rojas, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're really glad that you could be with us, and we hope that you could be with us for every one of our future meetings, both the mid-year meeting and our Western Lieutenancy. Thank you once again for the wonderful Mass that you gave and sitting here and answering some of the questions that we might be wondering about. So you came here from Chicago. That's my hometown. How will your time there and your experiences as an immigrant influence your leadership and your short-term goals for the San Bernardino Diocese?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, first of all, when I got to Chicago, I was a student. I got to Chicago as a seminarian, and I finished my 4 years of theology at Mandalay Seminary. I never thought I was preparing to become a bishop. That never came to mind. That was totally, that totally came out of the blue. So it's not like I was preparing, of course not. I was preparing to become a priest. That's all I wanted. And I always tell myself, Lord Jesus, if you have called me, let me just be a pastor in a parish. That's all I wanted to do. And so I was looking forward to the ordination after completing the studies at Mandalay, and finally I was ordained by Cardinal George, may his soul rest in peace. And 5 years after my ordination, so I was sent to a parish, obviously, and I was working in a parish in the north side of Chicago, very close to the lake and Loyola University, a beautiful area. Then I was asked to move into the formation faculty of the seminary again. Again, back into the seminary. And I was telling Cardinal George when he asked me, I shouldn't go back again. I just came out of this place. But of course, he wanted me to be part of the formation faculty. And I went back in the seminary for another about 8 years in the faculty. And from there, then I went to a parish, this time as a pastor. And in the parish, when I was the pastor, that's where I got this next call to become an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese. So the experiences of all this, from the time I was ordained a priest all the way through the time I was ordained a bishop, and my 8 years of service to the Archdiocese of Chicago as a bishop, I suppose it gave me an introduction to come to San Bernardino. But as I come here, I tell everybody, I told Bishop Barnes, I'm always in a learning mode because, and I think this is going to happen forever because this is such a huge place. Like right now, I'm the only one bishop left. I guess when I came, there was Bishop Barnes, there was Bishop Rutilio. And of course, Bishop Barnes is going to stay with us, as a retired bishop. And I'm sure he'll be such a consolation and a source of learning and consultation for me as I asked him to do that, and he's willing to do it. But going back to the question, I guess the practice of all those, those assignments gave me, like I said, a little bit of an introduction to then begin this other responsibility is really very different from what you would be doing as an auxiliary bishop. I think as an ordinary bishop now, you are responsible for everything. And there is a long process, I think, of learning as I go. And I think I'm going to be learning more as I do it, right? As I do it. So far, this has been sort of like an introduction because with the pandemic, it has also it's been limited in a way. And so, but I think, with groups of people like you, I should be okay.
Well, thank you. And we are so glad that you've been with us, and you've been with us for about a year. So yeah. What have you learned about our diocese and the diverse people that we have in our diocese and the many San Bernardino diocesan organizations, because we have a great number of those. And how can that knowledge help you transmit not only the teachings of Jesus, but also rebuild and ingrain those Christian morals, ethics, and love into all people, especially the young adults who are really struggling with life right now?
Yes. Well, there is so much going on in 1 year. I was just sharing with Father Eric, after the Mass, that it was February 11 when I first arrived into the diocese driving my car. So it was exactly 1 year, 2 days ago, that I arrived here. And I think one of the things that I have learned right away as I go around, I keep on going on weekends to a different parish every Sunday. And that has been a special blessing to me. I enjoy going to the parishes, meeting the pastors there, some of the leaders of the parishes. You know, even if it is a small group of people that come to Mass, I still, feel good going to the parishes. That has been a special blessing. And I think I've seen the fidelity, the faithfulness of the people. That's already a plus. Not that I didn't see this before. I think there's always, people who are so faithful to their faith and to the church everywhere else you go. But I think here it is a little bit more noticeable that people are so faithful to their faith. Something that is really a contrast between, the Archdiocese of Chicago and San Bernardino is that Chicago, of course, is a larger diocese, but they're like consolidating and combining parishes and closing parishes. And I think here in San Bernardino, we are trying to build more churches for the people. I mean, it's totally the opposite almost. This is a diocese that is young, that is growing, and it seems like it keeps on growing somehow with numbers. So it's at the same time a blessing and a challenge as we move forward. But I have learned the beautiful fidelity and faithfulness of the people. That's something so beautiful to see. It encourages me to move on and to keep on learning and serving. That's very beautiful. I learned also the diversity that we have. I could see that at the welcoming Mass. In this whole year, we have not had another celebration like that. That was really a memory to take and to keep forever. I could see the representation of most of the people of the diocese together at that celebration, of the Eucharist in St. Paul and Chino Hills. And the topic of my homily, it is very interesting. They were so providential that I focused the topic of my homily that day on unity. And it was just, and I really didn't plan this. I just thought unity should be something good for always for all of us. But it was so beautiful to see us together celebrating the Eucharist, Christ among us, speaking about unity, all this representation of the diocese there. Those things are memories that we keep in our hearts. And I think that's one that I'm going to keep forever. That was really very beautiful, even though I was terrified, nervous with the big celebration and all these bishops and cardinals. Oh my God. I said, what is this? But it was really beautiful. When I remember and think back a year already, well, almost a year, I think it was February the 24th. So it's coming already 1 year. But it's so wonderful. The Mass is still in the YouTube. Sometimes I go back to just see, how beautiful it was. So that was really something special. Those things I think I have now in my mind and in my heart. And I keep on, meeting more people as I continue to go around every Sunday. I think by now I have visited just most of the parishes of the diocese, at least about 75. Just going there to celebrate a couple of Masses, sometimes just confirmations. And it's just wonderful to be doing that. I keep on saying to the pastors, well, they said to me, you're welcome anytime. I said, well, I hope so. And and also, even if I go around and visit all the parishes once, I just tell them I'm going to continue doing the same over and over again. I want to keep in touch with the parishes. So every Sunday, I want to be in a different parish, kind of a circle all the time. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I don't know where I'm going with this, but but I think these are beautiful things I can learn.
Very good. Yes.
Something very beautiful is also the geography of the diocese, the desert, the mountains, the valley. We only need the beach.
Moreno Beach Valley.
Moreno Beach, yeah.
Well, thank you. That's right. Well, hopefully the COVID-19 pandemic will continue to improve. And in our hospitals, I know we have less than 50% of what we had just a couple weeks ago in the beginning of January. But COVID-19 has taken a toll on all the social organizations, such as the church and all of our many ministries. Now that you're bishop, how will you move your goals and your strategic mission and vision forward, keeping in mind the safety of the Catholics and all other Christians, and also balance that with the freedom to worship and evangelize in the diocese, our need to be social and spread Jesus's word and energize others, especially once again the young adults who will all actively take up. We hope that they will all actively take up Jesus's mission.
Yeah, very carefully. Very carefully. Well, so I think we need to listen to, the guidelines that we put together for the safety of everybody. I know we continue to receive angry letters of some people who don't even believe that we should be wearing a mask. This is hard to believe, it, seriously. We get letters of people saying that the mask doesn't make any difference. And I'm like, where are these people living? Who are they talking to when they see all this thousands of people dying? I mean, how can they say, don't wear a mask, all these, celebrations of the mass and other sacraments outside don't mean anything. This is unbelievable. The people send us letters saying things like that. Well, I think, we do need to follow, first of all, whatever the restrictions and orders that we receive from the state and from the government. Of course, now we're very grateful that we are going back into our churches. I think every pastor has been very, very careful as how they take care of everything to make people feel safe as they celebrate the masses and the sacraments. Now going back inside, we are given the opportunity to have the 25% of the capacity of the building. That's much more than 100 people. So, but that doesn't mean we're relaxed and low, the guard. We have to be just as careful going inside, and maybe even more so. Because the pandemic is still not gone. So, and I think with the advice of vicars, the Episcopal vicars, the vicars foreign, the curia of the diocese, and many of you will try to do as best as we can. When it comes to the young people, this is one of the things I've been pushing from years. It's not something new for me. This has been years and years that I've been always saying we need to pay attention to our young people. We always say they are a priority. And when I hear that the young people are a priority, I ask the question, all right, if that's a priority, where is it seen? Where are they? If it's a priority, why don't I see them in different events or celebrations in the parishes? We need to make it more like a priority then. And I think for the fifth encuentro of the Hispanic ministry, which was like a big celebration throughout the nation, that represents almost half of the Catholics of the United States, no? And that was one of the results of the encuentro. The young people told us they wanted to keep on learning about their faith. They wanted faith formation, but they also said they wanted us to walk with them. In other words, they were looking for accompaniment. They needed our company. They don't feel like we are walking with them in their faith. I think that's something that we need to do a little more intentional. I keep on saying that we need to approach our young people individually. Those of us who are leaders in the church, so that automatically we become mentors for them, all of us. And so whatever we find them, to say something to them. I know some parishes have some special programs, and some of the young people are involved with organizing the liturgy. Some parishes have one mass where the young people are lectors, ushers, ministers of communion. That's great to see. That's great to see. That's already a presence. What I was asking about before. If they are a priority, where are they? Can we see them? Where are they? And so at least in one of those celebrations in our parishes, it is good to have. Besides, any other things. So we have to come together. We have to come together to, to really to feel like we belong to one organized unity as a diocese. And me, myself, I have to continue to learn and to listen and to all of you who know more about the diocese. As I say to the priests, you are all my teachers. And I say also to the people in the pastoral center, you have been here for years. You know the diocese much better. I want to learn from you. I want to see us together coming out with, the vision that we need to move forward, responding to the needs of the diocese. What are the local needs of every parish, of every region? How are we going to do it now after the pandemic? We have to evaluate what has happened all throughout this year. Even if there was no change of a bishop, you would have had to do an evaluation after the pandemic, to be able to say, all right, what do we keep? What do we change? How do we move forward? Are we serving the needs of the diocese still? And how do we do it best? So that's what I'm thinking now. I hope that makes some sense.
Yes, thank you. Bishop Rojas, you said the next 12 months will be unlike any other in recent memory in our diocese. It will be a time of ending, of new beginning, and for you, a time of transition. What specifically can the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem do to help with those new beginnings, to let everyone, even our young adults, such as those transitioning from catechism to marriage, again believe that God's love is all we need?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Those are your words, Bishop. Those aren't mine.
That's so beautiful. You're so inspired. I have to tell you, that line for my motto, for my Episcopal motto, is nothing new that I just came up with when I was ordained a bishop, 9 years ago. I've been thinking of it from the time I was ordained a priest. This is over 20 years, 23 years. And every time I go to a retreat, every time I take part in a conference or something, I always think, what is it that really matters in the end? After all is said and done, what is it that really matters for us people as human beings? When you realize that you are a person created in the image and likeness of God, what's the main thing that makes us who we are if it's not the love of God? Right? So that's how I came to this conclusion that God's love is enough, right? God's love is enough. That should be the line, but I changed it to God's love is all we need, which was a little more specific than saying God's love is enough. In Spanish, it's more like God's love is sufficient. Nos basta el amor de Dios. And it's inspired in his second, letter to the Corinthians from St. Paul when he says, the grace of God is enough for you in your weaknesses, right? So I was inspired that way. Suppose as we move forward, of course, like I said, I have to keep my ears very open and my heart to keep on learning of the diocese. You already do a lot of beautiful things. I mean, it's not like just because this diocese is a mission diocese and we are considered a poor diocese compared to other dioceses in the country. And it is true that there are some programs in the diocese that we wouldn't be able to keep if we didn't receive donations from other sources. That's true. That's what makes us a mission diocese, that we receive donations to keep on serving some of our activities. But there is so much that is being done in this 1 year. As I go around, there's a lot of beautiful things taking place. And I can tell you, one of the things that this diocese does, and we can say we could still do more, of course, but it's the attention to the poor, the immigrants, the refugees, the prison, the people in the prisons. That's a ministry that we have it in our diocese. It's something that is so wonderful that we do it. I just hope that we can continue to do that, maybe even more in a more even efficient way. These are ministries that where our young people can also be involved, by the way. And I think they would love to do also some things like that. So there's a lot that is done in the diocese that is so beautiful. And I know there's still, things that we can do better and that we could improve as we move forward. Obviously, one day at a time, as I say, one day at a time, with some patience, especially now as we continue to hopefully come out of this pandemic that has affected us so badly in many different ways. We have to recover. I think we have to also be patient in trying to take some time to see how we can serve best with the resources, with the people we have, with a new bishop that is trying to learn. I think I'm learning pretty quickly, but there's still a lot for me to know. And people also to get to know me and to trust, because I understand there's always fear when someone comes new. And that's what I was telling some of the people in the pastoral center. It's okay for you to be afraid of me if you don't know me. And so, but I'm here to help. I'm not here to impose a figure of authority. I don't really care about a figure of authority. I'm here to help. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to serve the diocese with you.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful. Our last question, possibly our hardest one. So you've had many opportunities in Chicago to eat hot dogs and pizza over the almost 27 years that you were there. So what are you going to do to fulfill those voids and staples? Have you been to like Portillo's and Chicago Pasta House or Romano's Pizza?
I have to tell you, yesterday I was reading a letter that I received from the 4th graders at Sacred Heart Academy here in Redlands. They're the cutest things. These little kids, they send me letters. Like, of course, the teacher, I think, organized the whole thing. But it's so beautiful. I was just reading them. They are all telling me about the wonderful restaurants in Redlands and in the towns around. They do pictures, on their letters of tacos and ice cream and pizza. And I just replied to them, yesterday, sent a little letter back to the 4th graders saying, you guys are wonderful advisors. They're giving me advice. This is so great. One of them said, my dad makes the best tacos in the world. You should come to my house. Well, there's no better place for pizza than Chicago. You know that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, Chicago pizza is really special. But I don't really miss the pizzas of Chicago, no. I think here in California, I can begin to notice that there's a more Hispanic flavor to things than it was in Chicago. And obviously, I think it's very logical and natural that, that's the way it is. But I'm really very open to anything in terms of food. I just try not to eat pork. I think I have a reaction to pork somehow. But I've enjoyed any food. My mother used to tell us when we were young, little kids, like I remember what was one of the dishes that she used to make, and I didn't like that much, was lentils. Lentils were, I was so tired of those, and I couldn't see them anymore. When I was like 12 years old, I told my mom, oh, lentils again. Well, she would say, well, you might not be hungry. So my mother taught us to really eat anything that she would prepare for us at home. So I thank God that I can really eat everything, even though I try to avoid pork. But anything is really a blessing. As my mother says, it's important to be hungry.
Yeah, absolutely. To know that desire, that's for sure. Well, thank you, Bishop Rojas, so much for being with us at this meeting and giving us the opportunity to get you to know you so much better. We really appreciate all your kind words and your inspiration. And I hope that you could continue to be with us, like I said at the beginning, for many of our meetings into the future. You always want to, am I still talking, or did I get lost?
We can hear you. There are times when we don't hear you, but there is
Am I still with you guys, or did I get lost?
I think you are.
You're still on.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just wanted to say thanks again, and you're always welcome. And please come with us to all of our meetings that we have in the future. So thanks again. So everybody give him a round of applause. Thank you very much, Bishop. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.